Welcome to the Alan Berry Reports TV show. I'm Alan Berry Laboucan. I'm the editor of the Alan Berry Reports and the host of this show. Thank you very much for joining us. In our last show, I talked about some of the reasons that to look at resource stocks as an investment, an attractive investment, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I sort of assess when I'm looking at a company to include in the reports or talk about in the various different things that we cover the market on. And the very first thing that comes to when it comes to resource stocks is the drill results. The drill rig is really what separates hopes and geological hopes and dreams from reality, and that's why in the business it's called the truth machine. And that's why I focus so closely on what's coming out of the end of that drill rig, because it really tells you what the reality is about a particular project. So once throughout the day, I look through a great deal of news releases to try and find companies that have drill results that stand out to me. And once I find some that stand out to me, then I start to do more thorough, more thorough look into what they found with their drilling. And once I talked about this in the past. When you're looking at the drill results, I'm really trying to determine if this is a high-grade project or a low-grade project, and if it's a low-grade project, is it close enough to surface? Are they hitting big intersections over thick or over wide widths? And when you can get sort of these low-grade near-surface deposits, when they're big and wide and deep and close to surface, this is what makes an open pit mine, and where you can go in and start processing 40 or 50,000 tons a day. And even though the rock value is not a great deal per ton, when you're processing that much tonnage, it really starts to add up quite quickly. Now, the other kind of projects that you want to look for is high grade projects. And when you're looking for these high grades, it's not just some magic number that says, okay, this will make it. It's a combination. You have to try and find in a high grade deposit, they're usually smaller lenses than these big open pit targets that are close to surface. So you're looking for a much smaller deposit, and it's a combination of what's the dimensions of the deposit and the grade. And that's no different than when you're finding them close to surface. It's just sort of trying to differentiate between the two. And so once I sort of determine that, then I continue to follow what they're doing with the drill rig. And once a discovery's been made, then the companies continue to do a lot of drilling to determine what is the shape of the deposit. How big is it in tonnage? Is it easily accessed through an open pit, or is it an underground operation? If it's an underground operation, does the ore body stick together enough that it looks like it could be a mineable situation? And so what that basically comes down to is how many drill holes they put into the deposit to get an understanding of what this looks like in 3 dimensions. How wide it is this way, how deep it is, what's the grade. And so once a discovery is made, then it comes to a lot more focused drilling, where they're trying to determine what is the size of the deposit, and sort of then you can start to look to evaluating what are the potential economics. So the drill rig is something that I look at before I look at anything else when it comes to a company. At the end of the day, you can follow good people, but the good people can't make something appear if it's not there. On the other hand, if it's there in the drill rigs, those are the kind of drill holes, that's the kind of thing that we really focus in on. And once you have a deposit, then you start to look at, well, where is it located? Is it close to infrastructure? Is there water available? Is it way out in the middle of nowhere? And all of these variables start to affect the economic potential of bringing that deposit into production. So there's a lot that goes into evaluating or assessing, but we've always stayed really focused on what the drill is telling us, and that is primarily the best way to figure out, what a company has for a project. Now, another thing that I look at a lot, once I've sort of found drill results that I like, and then I start to get an idea of what the deposit looks like in 3 dimensions. Then I also take a look at the charts, the stock charts. And I use the stock charts in conjunction with the news releases, and oftentimes you can get a really good idea of what's been going on with the company if you look at the stock chart and you look at the news releases, and you can see where sometimes, well, maybe the market was too enthusiastic prior to the results being released. Maybe the results were a little bit disappointing, and so then the market may have sold off significantly. And oftentimes you can see a lot about what's happening with the project in the stock chart as well. And to be quite straightforward, watching what's happening with the drill or with the stock charts, and then looking at what's going on fundamentally through the news releases, this is what I do when I look at stock markets, currencies, the economy. You want to try and get an idea of what the combination of the fundamentals and what's happening with prices. And oftentimes you can learn a great deal about what has happened with the fundamentals and from what's going on in the stock chart. And then when you start to look forward, you can sort of assess what's potentially going to come down the road. And so those are some of the things that once I've determined that the company has the kind of drill results that catch my attention, then they continue the drilling and the deposit starts to take some significant shape. Then you can get an idea of how close the deposit is to the surface. This sort of gives you an idea of what the economic potential is. Then if you take a picture of that and you consider where the project is, all these other infrastructure issues, it starts to give you a clearer picture of what the potential of the company is. And so, in combination with our last show when we talked about why we look at resource stocks, and now we've talked a little bit about what we look into when we're looking into a resource company, in the future shows we're going to start talking about some specific companies and use them as examples of some of these issues that I've talked about in the past shows. So I hope you can join us for some of those future shows. That's a wrap on today's commentary. Before closing, I'd like to stress that this show is for information purposes only. We're not making buying or selling recommendations, and it's important for you to do your own research and speak with your financial advisors before making any investment decisions. We're always trying to grow the audience, and if you look at the share buttons below, you can find a way to send an email or a Twitter or a Facebook message out to your friends that are following the markets, and it'll get them so that they can find our shows. And we really appreciate you taking the time to watch the show. We know that everybody's busy, and we try to provide a show that gives you high quality information and helps save you time. So as always, we hope you can join us for future shows or visit us on our website at allenberryreports.com. Thank you very much and have a great day.